Hey, have you edited this one yet? Yeah, what? Are we allowed to use this?
Yeah.
Like it's not.
It's not going to be in the. It's going to be completely separate.
Oh, cool. Now I got
Is it throwing your groove off?
It was actually. I got sidetracked.
All right.
Welcome to episode 17 of the Not Salty podcast. I'm your host, John Bell. And as always, I'm joined by my friends and co-hosts, Mike Fenton and Kristen Skeevers. In this episode, we interview our friend, Bill Poffenbarger of MLend, Middleton Valley Bank, and Fordham Lee Distillery. Bill went to elementary school in Oakland, and he's a lifelong resident of the state of Maryland. We talk about how he played semi-pro football, how he became a banker. His son played college football. His daughter plays college basketball. And of course, we talk about how we started making bourbon. Yeah, it's pretty good. Bill, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for financing many of my customers' lake houses. And most importantly, thank you for bringing this bottle of bourbon. Mike, hit the intro. And here we go. Welcome to episode 17 of the Not Salty podcast. We do have drinks in front of us, and even though I'm already messing up my speech, believe it or not, we have not started drinking yet, but we're going to. And Kristen, is today the first day of spring, or was it yesterday?
It was yesterday.
Well, today felt like the first day of spring. Dude, it was so
Sure
nice.
So nice.
It was really, really, really nice. Mike, we've been talking about your adventures sometimes. Tell us what you did last weekend.
So I am probably only exaggerating by 6% when I say that I survived. It was insane. I was ready to quit day one. It was like up ice.
Well, nobody
and
knows
snow.
what you did. You went hiking.
I went hiking.
On a hiking,
In Dolly
backpacking
Sods.
trip in Dolly
Oh,
Sods.
well, if they are our listeners, they'll know what I did.
Oh, did we talk about in the
At
last
least you
week?
didn't step on a landmine.
Oh, okay.
No. Well, that's what I heard that they're second off. But no, it was intense. It was 3 days of cold, wet feet, snow, and river crossings.
So you sent me a video when you got back. You guys were crossing the Red River? I
No,
think is
Red
what it
Creek.
was?
Red Creek. Yeah, I call it a
And,
river because, like I said, 6% exaggerating.
Man, it looked like a river.
It sure
The only thing I
felt
can
like
tell
a
you
river.
is, as nice as it is today and sunny and spring-like, it was not like that on Friday.
Oh,
I thought about you guys several times. So
Yeah.
you hike 20 or 30 miles. You cross what you're going to exaggerate and call a river, probably a creek, whatever. The
It was a
water
creek
looked
when we
deep.
crossed it the first time.
You got cold, obviously, walking through it. Then you decided to camp out and spent 3 days. And
Yes. So night two was it was like things went really wrong and then went as good as they possibly could.
okay,
So like we're walking along and where we wanted to camp
Yeah.
and where the trail kept going was a beaver pond.
what do you do about that?
We had to sidetrack around it through a swamp, and at one point Mike took a wrong step and went like up to his hip in bog. Almost lost his shoe.
Yeah.
And we made it. And we're trying we're
So there's
hiking.
quicksand in Dolly Sods.
It was
Probably
really,
is.
really quick, shallow quicksand. Yeah, only hip deep. But so we're trying to find a campsite before we get to the top of this ridge because the weather's going to change, and that's not where you want to be with 20-mile-an-hour winds and snow and stuff like that. So we found this little spot
Thank you.
right below the knob, and so all the wind went right over our campsite. All
No, no
night.
kidding.
Yeah. So we found like that.
No, that's a good thing, right?
Yes, it was a good thing. Yeah, because I woke up at 11 o'clock, and I'm like, I don't hear the rain. I should probably go stoke the fire because it's going to get cold. Sure enough, it was snowing outside. Yeah, so, and then when we woke up in the morning, his jacket that he hung on his tree was like this. Like he
Oh,
could turn
frozen
every
just
single
from the
piece
wind?
of gear and zipper and string was frozen. Yeah.
That
So,
sounds like a great way to not spend a weekend.
let's just put it this way. I'm good for a while.
So
I got my fix.
the other thing you did wrong with you was you didn't bring any whiskey on your trip.
That's true. And I just left it in the truck and it was dumb.
Oh, you actually did take it with you?
No.
Oh, well, that was such a lead in.
Mike doesn't
to,
drink, and I was just thought,
Mike doesn't drink?
Nah, I mean, not really, but yeah, I don't know.
You just ruined a really great lead into our guest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well,
I should have brought some whiskey. Hold on. 6 minutes.
Oh, this is non-alcoholic bourbon.
we are here today with our good friend Bill Poffenbarger. And Bill, you did bring some whiskey. What'd you bring?
Yes, I did. I brought a little high rye 6036.4 Fordham Lee high rye bourbon, 86 proof. Goes down real easy.
86 proof. I didn't know what those other numbers you just said meant, but I'll tell you, it tastes really good.
Well, thank you, John. It's you know what, we're proud of it. I've been drinking liquor for a long time, and you know what? That's one thing that comes with that. I guess you get a good taste for it.
So what's the difference? And I might be mixed up. When you and I were texting about this show, I always call it whiskey, and I feel like you replied bourbon. Did you say, is this actually bourbon? Or
So this is an actual
whiskey
bourbon.
Okay,
Yep,
what's the difference?
So all bourbons are whiskey, but not all whiskeys are bourbon.
Okay.
So what makes a bourbon whiskey is 51% corn and all grains,
Okay.
aged in a charred barrel, American-made white oak barrel, and the rest is history. I mean, there's all kind of uniqueness, all kind of different influences that you can get with a combination of with the grains, blending different barrels. We're in a 5 years of a 25 to 30-year bourbon boom right now. So you're going to start seeing multiple brands, multiple nuances of how they market the different bourbons, and it's really cool.
I like it a lot. To me, it reminds me of microbrews 20-some years ago. Like,
Absolutely.
My dad, for example, would get off work and go get a Miller Lite because they didn't have fancy beers. You know what I mean? That's what he called them. Now everybody drinks IPA, and IPAs are really common. And we talked about it at one point in time when the Deep Creek Brewery opened up here first. It was just ahead of its time. You know what I mean? So IPAs, everybody likes them now, and I think your custom liquor market's coming along too, and it's obviously
Craft
whiskey.
distilleries are booming, and I got in at a good time with the Fordham Lee distillery. The greatest thing about this industry, John, is everybody wants to help each other, right? Been in business for a long time, and as you and everyone else here at the table, what starts to happen is you look at your competitors in different lights, and in this business, everyone reaches out to help you and give you the nuances. Hey, have you ever tried this?
Yeah.
Positive suggestions, things like that. So it's really been refreshing. This is going to be my retirement, so I'm really excited about it.
So I was going to bring that up. I don't remember if it's the first time I met you, but it's the first memorable time I met you. And I met you through banking. I don't want to say you were a banker because I think you still work in banking, but you're definitely switching over.
Absolutely.
And we were in a meeting, and I believe Jerry Merrick was there, which he's actually in the room now watching from the corner. Hi, Jerry. But anyway, we were at the meeting, and we sat down there, and it wasn't super formal, but I remember it was at Aces or somewhere, and you brought a bottle of moonshine with you, and I didn't know you that well.
That was legal moonshine that we had gotten legally above board completely.
Okay.
There was nothing illegal about that activity in that evening.
Okay.
And Mr. Merrick twisted my arm because he said he had this guy, John Bell, who's a top producing agent, just a great guy, and he wanted to impress him. So I said, you want to impress him, or do you want him to pass out at the table?
Well, that's where I was heading with this. We only had a couple sips, you know what I mean? Like, we got in, I was all excited, and we had a sip or two.
I'll never forget, John. You looked right over at me, and I said, man, is he trying to cross his eyes at me? Or, hey, can you excuse me, fellas? I got to go to the bathroom.
I did. I totally excused myself and said, I got to go to the bathroom.
Simpson,
and this wasn't very much. I mean, like, I was like, I got hot all of a sudden, and I was like, I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah, let's just say that wasn't 86 proof. That was probably more like 156 proof.
Okay. That was really good stuff, and I would say since then we've been friends.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's been great. Can't thank you enough for the support that we've gotten from you, John, and in the market. And as you mentioned, banking earlier, been in banking for a long time. Founded MLend in 2003, and Jerry Merrick, you mentioned as well earlier, has been a great partner in business up here with me, and through Jerry was able to meet all you fine folks, that are up here in Garrett County. And I think most people maybe didn't even know I lived in Garrett County and went to school here when up about half a year of kindergarten. But my father was stationed up here and worked for Farmers Home Administration. And, I remembered how pretty it was. We used to always come up here, but just being able to come back here and work here. And we've been in market now for 15 years, I think.
I was trying to remember the dates. That's about how long
What
you've come to Garrett
school
County.
did you go to? Kindergarten?
Right down on oh my God, I knew you were going to ask me this. Right downtown, the old, what's that, Center Street. Yeah, Center Street. We lived on Alter Street.
Okay.
And the school was on Center Street. I don't think it's a school anymore. I think it's actually where we go for the new housing,
Community Action?
Community Action,
Oh,
yes.
that
yes.
school closed in 1928.
No, 65, but you're getting close. No.
No, I don't remember.
But I went to school here, and I actually remember a couple folks. I think our boy Dave Schweitzer, I think, was a year behind me, I think. But
Yeah.
we looked it up and thought maybe we had been to school at the same time frame.
I think that's even when I really, really first met you. It was back when we were working with Dave and John Simpson
Yes.
and all those guys. And that had to have been 2007, 8,
2005.
maybe? 5?
Yep.
Okay. So even walk through a little bit to it. I don't want to get too much into banking because we will do a lending show, and I'd like to have Jerry on it sometime soon
Absolutely.
to do that part. But so in 2003,
I told Jerry everything he knows about lending.
in 2003, the real estate market, lending market was starting to pick up, heading into the boom of 2006, and you go, hey, I'm going to start a lending company, and that's how you got into business.
Actually started the lending company in 2003.
Okay.
So I worked out in Oklahoma City and then ultimately down in Dallas for Southwestern Bell Telephone, and started having kids. Met my wife Amy, started having children, and decided that we were going to relocate back to Maryland. And I actually took a position that was a lateral within the phone company and had 2 large accounts back here on the East Coast. Came back, had a friend out in Oklahoma that had a mortgage company. He started telling me that, he really wanted me to get involved with him. So I got involved, found out he was one of the darker sides of mortgage, and got out real quickly and liked what I'd seen so far, felt like it was a legitimate and viable business. So I started Millennium Financial Group, MLend. That was October 16th of 2003.
Very cool. And then you guys have now merged or whatever with Middleton Valley Bank. It's just kind of all the same.
So we joined forces with Middletown Valley Bank in 2019 and February 1st. And that has been an amazing joint venture. They actually brought a lot of things to the table that a solely owned mortgage company couldn't provide for its clients and for its loan officers, and that is some of the portfolio products, the things for lots, for construction, things that Jerry's so good at selling, and so much a need for up here in Deep Creek with all the boom in construction. And so, as you know, John, he's been able to put some really, really competitive products on and help out a lot of clients up here in Garrett County.
Now, I don't know the actual stats. We'll leave that to Jerry's show. But you guys are a huge market share at Deep Creek, commercial and residential side. Middleton Valley Bank, MLend, you guys do a lot of stuff. So we give you a lot of good press, and keep doing what you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We don't keep the stats either. We just I can tell you that we have an ace up here in Jerry, and his relationships and his support that you all give to MLend and Jerry Merrick has been amazing.
All right, so let's talk about whiskey.
Or bourbon.
Or bourbon. Is it like biking and cycling? Is it real picky? Okay, so
No, it's like ponies and horses.
I have another friend who got into microbrew, right? And he basically got into it because he was dabbling around with it. He got a home brewing set for Christmas. Goes, hey, this is fun. I'm a smart guy. I'll figure it out. And he did really well with it. Is that kind of your background on this too?
So my background in this is, you started there earlier, the moonshine.
Yeah.
I was having a really good time. For some odd reason, I grew up hunting, fishing, trapping, things like that. And so something drew me to the art of making whiskey. I just always thought that was so cool.
It is
so
cool. It's great.
I bought a still in about 2000.
Okay.
And just started tinkering around with a 15-gallon reflux head still that I'd gotten out of Arkansas.
Yeah.
And first couple things I made tasted like total horse crap.
Okay.
And, you make all the mistakes, right? You kind of read and try to figure out how to make a bourbon mash or a whiskey mash or just a regular whatever I can ferment mash.
Yeah.
And you wind up burning it on the bottom of the still, and you get all these influences and crap that aren't any good. But I will say, after about the second or third batch, I started bringing some things to the table that you could drink. And the rest kind of is history. I just kept doing it and making, I was making all kinds of apple pie. Everything corn-based, right? So that's the easiest thing to get. I grew up in the country, so it's easy to go get corn and rye and all those different grains to make fermentables. So I started making all the stuff that I shared with you, you know, and I think you even shared that, hey, Bill, did you even know that there was this flavor? I can't remember what it was now. You had a flavor that I thought was really unique. Can't remember now, John, but you were telling me about it, that you'd had it, and it's probably been about 5 years ago.
Well, so I was going to bring up what are the legalities behind it? Because I do have a friend who did a very similar story like you did. He went to an auction, bought a distillery, and he made a batch or two of it. And let me tell you what, it was horrible. It was the worst thing ever. So it was just me and him in his garage drinking it. Take a sip of it to the rest of the way. Is that legal? Like, what are the legalities behind it?
So it is 100% illegal to own a still in the state of Maryland.
Okay. Good thing I didn't say his name.
So, right.
Threw it away, I'm pretty sure.
Jerry, who we mentioned earlier, should not have bought that still. But
that is a joke.
Yeah. But no, but it's illegal to own a still. The greatest thing about
unless you're licensed, like
absolutely have to have a license. Have to have.
If it's a client about a mortgage, go ahead and grab it.
No, they actually want to buy a lot of liquor.
Okay, well, sweet. You can grab it. We're gonna make a run. What's the one where Smokey and the Bandit? We'll make a run down to Tennessee tonight with Bill.
All right, it's off. Sorry about that.
We're back.
Hey, that'd be a good spot. So we are trying to work in commercials. Eventually, that would be coming in pretty handy. So so my dream, honestly, it is a stupid dream I have a million of them, but I always thought it would be cool to go buy a distillery and do it in my barn. I can't do that. That's illegal.
It's illegal, but I can tell you that if you watch behaviors and if you watch intent nowadays, I mean, there's a lot of craft distillers, household stills you can buy. You can buy these 1 gallon pot stills, 2 gallon, 5 gallon pot stills just to make your own hooch at home. And, you know, there's nobody knocking down the door. They're looking, it's no different than
probably when you start selling it is when they get bad.
You start to try to sell it. You're doing things that really breach the intent of the law.
Gotcha. So then how hard is it to actually get a license? Pretty intense.
You know, at first when I started going down this path earlier in the process, probably around 2012, started looking into it. And actually what got me into it was I was a director of football and I was president of our local football league, which spanned 3 states. And I started realizing, you know, the last thing I want to have happen is I'm coaching my boys, I'm coaching a bunch of people's kids and helping out. And next thing you know, oh, hey, Bill Poffenbarger picked up for moonshining.
That's not good press. Nobody wants that.
So I just started looking into it again. And really it took me less than 6 months to get everything. And that's state of Maryland, the TTB. And it was really not a tough process. It's more about just having the right information, submitting the right information, having a plan, having a business model, you know, having a floor plan for your DSP. They need to know what you're making, how much you're going to make, where you're going to situate your still. It's just a typical floor plan. It wasn't that bad.
So the right way is if you want to do it the right way.
Absolutely. And it's fun. And I think I would challenge you to reach your dream of messing around in the garage. It's so rewarding to just, I don't know why, but it's so cool when that still starts producing the first stuff you've ever made. And it's not that hard. It's like baking a cake.
Yeah. That was my next thing. How do you come up with the recipes? Like,
well, as I said,
trial and error? Don't give away your secrets, but I mean, is that kind of how you do it?
Well, there's really not a lot of secrets. The secrets the big boys have and the folks that do this for a profession and really get good at it. I mean, it's the types of yeast strains they're using. It's, you know, it's how to prepare the grains. It's the type of water, the pH, things like that. But for the home user, for the novice that just wants to have a good time, it's tap water, it's sugar, it's, you know, it's fermentables. If you want to make whiskey and other types of, you know, quality distillate, then you're working less with sugar and more with the starches within the grains, and those conversions and things like that can get a little more complicated. But you can throw sugar and water into a pot and put some yeast with it, and it'll ferment, and you can make some good rum. There's a lot of little things you can do to play around with distillation. It's a lot of fun.
Probably like you said about a baker too. When you first start, you buy the cake mix kit, and then as you go on, you get a little bit better and make your own.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, you said rum. Do you make other alcohol too?
So I don't make any rum. We've got several cream liqueurs we make that are whiskey based.
I was going to bring them up. How do you drink those? Like, what's the right way to drink?
On the rocks.
Okay, so just like a glass like we have right now, put ice in it and just pour it on there and drink it?
Absolutely. I actually brought some peanut butter for you to try. It's scrumptious. Absolutely scrumptious.
Kristen looks excited.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a big like bourbon. I do. You got to give me credit. I try it. They pour it in the glass.
She
I'll
drank
sip
some
it.
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I hate it. If you watch my face on the video, or if you watch me in last week's episode, it's not
she
a good
was going
face.
one for one. She was like, oh, and then like,
So
I will try it, but I loved the blueberry cream liqueur that
Absolutely.
you guys had, and I
gotta
love
try
the
that.
screwball peanut butter. Is that a whiskey?
So
yeah, I like the flavors.
that's probably the next best way to drink peanut butter cream liqueur is to strengthen it with screwball.
Oh,
It's amazing.
and
So
maybe with some ice cream and like blend it together.
that's what I'm talking about. Whipped cream cherry on top. Yeah, absolutely.
Woo!
I feel like I saw a video of you making the peanut butter liqueur. Isn't there a video on your
have a
Facebook
TikTok?
or something making it?
So we have several videos, and then we've got QR codes for all of our products that kind of share all of our recipes. We have bartenders come in. We have bartender events where they'll come in and they'll mix our drinks up, and then we'll video that and share it. So, we'll do a podcast sometime down at Fordham Lee Distillery and have you guys come in. And
We're talking about doing that. We're trying to figure out a way to go.
Where
mobile.
is home base? Like
So
where? where's it
Middletown,
at?
Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where our homestead is, and that's the licensed DSP and tasting room. So we bought the old fire hall there right in Middletown.
Oh, cool.
And have turned that into just a really cool corporate headquarters, and we do all of our operations there, bottling, barrel dumps, blends, everything.
How far out do you distribute?
So, great question. We actually have people over in Dubai that are, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh wow.
We are in Arkansas, we are in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Florida, New Jersey, Delaware, DC, Maryland.
Cool.
And you're pretty available at Deep Creek. Like I'm trying to think. I guess you get it out through Lord Distributing up
Scott
here.
Lohr and Lord Distributing. He's been a great ambassador of our products up here, and he has gotten it in quite a few accounts.
I know I bought it
I think
in
Jerry's gotten
Arrowhead.
it in more, but
Yeah.
but all seriousness, Jerry's been an amazing supplier or supporter, and Scott and I got to know each other through Jerry, so that's been great. But Scott Lohr and Lohr Distributing has had our products now for a little over 2 years, and
So if you come to Deep Creek, most liquor stores up here
we have it in,
Fordham.
we have
Yes.
it in Friendsville.
Yeah. Oh, you do?
Yeah, in our
Wow. If you made it to Friendsville,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Well, I
buy's
mean,
next.
I'm just saying, like it's off the beaten path, man.
What stores in Friendsville that sells
There's
liquor?
a liquor store there right by the takeout where the precision rafting is.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
right by the bridge.
and
Yeah.
that liquor store's come a long way the past 10 years too.
They have my favorite bottle of wine there. It's like Kendall Jackson or something like that. It's like $19 Pinot Noir. It's delicious, pound for pound, really good.
You mean Penutner?
None, yeah, sorry.
I think
My
Kendall,
damn accent's
I like
coming
it.
out.
I like me some
Jackson's where
Philly
they sell
Mignon
his
and
bar
Penutner
wine
once
in
in a
every
while.
restaurant ever. All right, so Bill German gave me a bottle of the blueberry liqueur last year for Christmas, and I just didn't know how to drink it. I did what you said, but I wasn't sure.
So coffee. I mean, it's a great coffee creamer.
Ooh.
Yeah, but I can't drink that in the morning. Yeah, that's not
You
what
can
you-
when you're
Every
on
settlement we've
vacation.
ever had, John, we had moonshine.
Well, that is a different story. Beep. Hey, but my friend Craig and I were talking about whiskey because we're both really getting into it and we would like it, right? But the problem I found out that I have, or he and I have, is we're both beer drinkers. Like we drank beer our whole life, and you drink whiskey different than you drink beer, and you got to go into it that mentality. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. We'll sit down and have 6 beers and be totally fine. I'm not going to sit down and have 6 of these and be totally fine. It is a different mentality you've got to go into.
Remember I told you I've been drinking for a long time.
Yeah.
I haven't mastered it yet.
Oh yeah. Well, it'll always. I forget.
You
there's
have to really, every single time you decide to take cocktail drinks, you have to make sure that you're hydrated. You have to make sure that you're in a good frame of mind. You have to pace yourself. You should never start out with a really stiff drink. A lot of people will say that I need a stiff drink. That's the opposite.
Start off with the water.
You should start off chugging the water, and you should start off with about half throttle.
That's why we bought a Buffalo hot dip out there in the break room. Russell had a saying one time, I forget what it was. I was mad at myself for drinking too much whiskey one night. And Russell goes, "Boy, that pig really whistled at you, huh?" We were drinking Whistle Pig. And,
Whistle Pig's dangerous.
Yeah,
Whistle Pig is good.
Got me. But I guess that happens to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It can happen with Old Crow.
Sure.
It all tastes good after the first drink.
Do you have any plans on making any other type of liquors? Like, you ever going to move into gins or anything?
No, I'm working on an R&D project right now, and been keeping it on the lowdown. But it's a really neat vodka that I'm distilling.
Yeah,
and it's a repurpose kind of endeavor. So we're using some products that would ordinarily be put on farmers' fields or pushed down the drain. It's a byproduct of processing in a different food grade environment. And I'm really excited about it. Been working closely, actually working with a couple of professors up at the University of Cornell, and we're having some real success and some breakthroughs on this product.
that's a pretty cool idea. It seems like tequila's coming really popular too.
And there's a shortage. The droughts and things have caused problems. There's a shortage right now of tequila in Mexico. So tequila has exploded.
Yeah.
And there's just some really good quality stuff out there. You know, we grew up, you're drinking Jose Cuervo. And
when I was in college, you had Cuervo. I mean, I don't remember any other kinds of tequila.
And not that was a bad, or not that was a bad tequila.
But it's all you had. Yeah.
Right. And now you've got, well, then shortly thereafter, Patron, some of those.
Yeah.
Now there's just a litany. It's kind of bourbon kind of. There's just a litany of different options, and some of them are really good, really tasty.
Smoky even. You get some real smoky tequilas.
I had a tequila that had a habanero in it, and it was really good because you kind of got the tequila kick. I think we did a shot. So you get the tequila kick, and then all of a sudden you got the real hot kick.
Little spice.
Yeah, it was really good.
Kind of the principle behind the Fordham Lee High Rye. I mean, this is a high rye, and rye kicks the spice in on the bourbon finish, and so this is a 36% rye.
Okay, so I don't think that's the same kind we drank last time, is it, Mike? Do you remember?
Absolutely.
It is? Oh, this is the same one?
Yeah,
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So that's your bourbon whiskey.
I like Scotch typically, and or I'll drink bourbon. And to me, the spice that came out kind of reminded me a little bit of a hit that you'd get from like a single malt Scotch. So
Nice.
Nice.
I wish I remember the name of it, but there's a brewer in Pittsburgh, and he's probably a genius because there's this huge mall in Pittsburgh, and when you're walking in the mall with your wife, right there on the left-hand side when you walk in the front door is a distillery tasting room.
Oh, wow.
And what a good idea. Every husband goes in there and hits the distillery tasting room, has a couple of
That's
drinks,
illegal.
the wives go shopping, and maybe only in Pennsylvania. I don't know, but this dude is a genius. Like, can you imagine? Yeah, let's go to the mall. What's up? Good idea.
That has to have something to do with Roethlisberger.
Yeah, maybe so. He was. I did see him there one time. All right, so talk about sports. You said you coached the football league, and I'm going to jack up the college names, but you have a son who's playing quarterback in college, and you have a daughter who's starting basketball in college.
Yes. So very proud of my kids. They all have taken.
And you've got another son in this room who's a whole lot younger, so no pressure, buddy.
Yeah. He is. So we'll start with Higgins here in the room. He's 10 years old. He's playing baseball, football, and basketball, doing very well. Got Britton, who is basketball and football. And then we've got Saylor, who was given a full ride scholarship for basketball at the University of Connecticut, and since then has transferred to Arkansas. Just basically a she's a girly girl,
Yeah.
and she wanted a little more of the college experience. Connecticut is a very serious basketball program.
Holy cow! I was gonna say, my God,
no.
they like dominate.
She
That's amazing.
She misses some things about it, but at the end of the day, she's in a very good place in Arkansas. Razorbacks are huge supporters of their athletes. It is a really cool town. Fayetteville's awesome. Lots going on out there, and we're happy for her. She started every game this year, her freshman year, and has played and done very well. She leads with defensive rebounds. Broke the records at the school for defensive rebounds. And then Reese, my oldest, is quarterback at the University of Albany. So he got CAA Offensive Rookie Player of the Year and had a sensational freshman year and first runner-up for the Jerry Rice Award. So Reese, we're very very pleased with him, his hard work ethic, and proud of how he's kind of going after it. I want to see him go to the league.
So you're obviously good at making whiskey. You're obviously a great parent too. That's pretty.
I get that
impressive.
from their mother.
I was gonna ask.
I'm the whiskey man.
Put a good husband on the list too.
So let's just say this: their mother's very athletic and very competitive, and they have been blessed to have a mother that brings them up with the sports lessons and the work ethic towards sports. They are absolutely driven to play sports, and I love it.
She was an athlete in college too, right?
Yeah. So Amy is she played Missouri. University of Missouri, and was a phenomenal player out there. They won actually a Big 8 title when she was there. So she played soccer. A lot of people don't know that either. She played soccer, softball. I mean, multi-sport athlete. So.
And you were in the math club.
No, I was in the FFA, and then I was also played a little football, played a little semi-pro football after high school. And then,
okay, this is news. You've told me about everybody else. You've never told me about you. You played semi-pro football?
Yeah, 7 years.
Falcons. No kidding. Yeah. So your entire family is athletic. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of I was the least athletic of the bunch when it comes to.
You've told me the stories about everybody else. You've never told me that story.
Yeah, I love my kids.
That's pretty cool.
Wait, I want to know, did you have an animal in FFA? Or you were just in the ag part? Because I know
so I was in the ag part.
4-H. Like if you're in 4-H, you have to have an animal. And you go with that discipline. But FFA is different because you can just be like a general ag person.
So
right?
I was blessed to grow up in a farm environment. My dad, he's a lawyer, and an agricultural engineer, but we worked on a farm. That was our upbringing. We milked cows. I worked for about 5 or 6 different farms in the Frederick County area, and that's what I did. And that instills a work ethic that is unbelievable.
Absolutely.
You're up. I mean, people wonder why I'm up at 4:30 every day. I still get up 4:30 in the morning. That's it's a different kind of work, but it's and real quickly I knew that it was not the work that I was going to do long term, because it's unfortunately doesn't pay to support a family.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. Farming is tough, and it stinks because they're really great quality people. But I got to work in farming, and then just kind of stuff.
So you're born and raised in Maryland, lived in Maryland pretty much your entire life other than college?
So when I finished playing football, which was in 91, 92, I made a decision to go back to college.
Yeah. And
so I've been going to community college and then playing ball, and then decided to go to the University of Oklahoma. So I went on literally about a 1 week decision, wrote a letter. Back then you didn't have email and all that stuff. So I wrote a letter, got accepted at the University of Oklahoma, went out there and got my degree out there in commercial aviation. So
that's actually how I picked my college too. It was very last day, and I went to Towson. You had to write an essay, so I just filled out the application. But hey, it worked out.
So you went for aviation?
So I went out there in business, and then most of my degree works in business, but my degree is commercial aviation. I'm a commercial pilot.
Did you fly commercially?
All the time. No, not commercial. So my job technically was never to fly for a commercial airline or anything like that. It's a bus driver job. No offense to anyone, but
only you're in the air.
If you're family oriented, you're not going to fill I mean, you're not going to be away from town, away from home all the time. So that was the deal killer for me. But to go to college, you had to do something you liked, and I really, after literally being there for 2 months, I was bored stiff. I knew no one. I transferred with a job out there, going to the University of Oklahoma. I needed something to do with my idle time, so I started taking pilot lessons. And my dad's a pilot, so that was his hobby. So I did it for about a semester, just got my private and converted over to a 141 program and got the whole.
Yes, I'd like 5 bottles of whiskey, please.
That is a lot.
Why it's still doing
this. Hey, we'll lead into this talking about commercial pilots. I didn't know this until yesterday. One of my customers I was selling a house to yesterday is a pilot, and we were just talking about how it must be hard on your family. You know, you're going a 10-hour flight. I get there, I'm exhausted, but at least I have a vacation to recover and then fly home. I was like, the pilots, you've got to fly there and then go to sleep and wake up the next day. And he goes, that's what you think. And he said, it is still hard being away from your family. But he was telling me that in the cockpit of the big planes, right, there's actually 3 pilots, and down below they have beds. So the one pilot flies for a couple hours, and then they go down and take a nap, and the other one comes back up. And I mean, I guess you're gone, but I know me personally, if I'm in a 10-hour flight, man, my body just takes a whole day to recuperate. You know, it's just, it would be a stressful job. I mean, parts of it would be really cool, parts would be really stressful too.
It's a glamorous job in many ways. You're spot on. And it's like anything, you get adapted to it, right?
Yeah.
So if you work night shift, you adjust. If you're a police officer or someone that's working night shift, and you adjust to the sleep schedules and everything else. But in aviation, they have, so these are long haul pilots. They're going overseas. They're going on flights. They're going to Australia, places like that. And yes, they have amazing accommodations, and they can get down and get some real time rest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as bad. So
You're still away from your family for 4 days, come home for 2 days.
that's the
miss
part that's
soccer
terrible.
games,
It's
all that kind of
it's
stuff.
terrible. I mean, you know, it's a part of it that deterred it for me. I mean, you know, why have a family if you're going to be away from them every week?
Sure. So do you make many of their games?
So made every one of Reese's games with the exception of Fordham. That was a downtown New York City game, and we just couldn't make it happen. We had some other youth stuff going on with the others. I've made probably half of Sailor's games, and Amy's made the other half. So we divide and conquer because we've got the little ones that play ball too.
Oh, yeah. How many kids do you have in total?
So 4.
4? Okay. Yeah, you've got your hands full. I've got 2, and I'm good.
Yeah, we had 5. So
Okay.
we had Fordham, and so that we've got 5 with 4 above ground. So
It's totally up to you, and Mike can 100% cut this out if you want to. Is that how do you want to talk about how the whiskey got named?
So absolutely. That's my reward. So my hobby is making this whiskey. It's fun as heck, and I've said that earlier. You know, I think everybody ought to get a still in their basement and have some fun with it
Legally.
It's so much fun legally, and but when it came time to get legal, and when it came time to what am I going to name this? There was no question. My wife and I lost a son and on an accident on our property, and so one of the only things you can kind of keep alive is their name, right?
Sure.
And you have memories and you have all these things, and you're so blessed with the time you spent with them when they were here above ground. So for me, when it came time to name, I've named several of my business ventures: Fordham Holdings, Fordham Lee Investments. I mean, I've got a couple of them, but when it came time for what's going to go in that bottle and what I want to, my reward is seeing that bottle with his name on it.
So your son's name was Fordham Lee.
Fordham Lee.
That's a very cool name. And it's a tragic story, but it's very cool that what you turned it into.
Yeah. And so Fordham was Amy's maiden name. And then
Okay.
we had several in our family, Fred Lee, Johnny Lee on Amy's side. It's amazing that when you start naming kids, it's amazing when you use family names, how cool you can get with them.
Sure.
So.
Hey, and not to bounce off that subject, but just because we brought it up, the label on the bottle looks awesome. Like, I mean, it looks really good. I don't know if you designed that, if you hired an advertising person. Kristen's obviously way more into marketing than I am, but I think it looks great.
Yeah, no, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. It's so
You should get that tattoo.
you know what? I have one tattoo, but I can't tell you about it.
All right, well, let's get this one on your shoulder, and we'll do it on the show. It'll be great. Mike will pay for it.
So, so we used I was very blessed to get introduced to an outfit out of Napa, California. Their name's it's CF Napa.
Yeah.
Great people, Dave Schumann and his wife Lisa, and the supporting cast, and they're just super people. They have done over 1,000 wines.
Yeah.
So their specialty is wine, and then they got into spirits.
Yeah.
And so I was one of their first spirits customers, and they hit a home run. I mean, I'm so happy and proud of that label. They did a great job.
I don't know how to describe it. It looks older and fancy and what bourbon should be.
it's-
you know?
It's real like Old
it's
West.
clean,
It's
exactly.
Old West
Yeah.
Saloon.
Clean.
Yeah.
It's clean and modern, but it does. It looks like you would find it on the bottle of
Yeah.
like a swinging door bar.
I'll tell you, buddy. But no, but seriously, I took about 15 minutes on the phone with Dave and told him what I wanted, and that was some of what I said. I wanted to look nostalgic. I wanted to look and be able to sit on the shelf alongside who I consider my competitors, Jim Beam and Jack Daniels. And so that's what they came up with. Our flagship bourbon, which is an 80-10, 10-80 corn, 10 rye, 10 barley, is coming out here later this year. It's a blue version of that label. It's a high corn bourbon, and it's delicious. I can't give Jerry any more of it. He likes it too much, but he's been my sampler, my only sampler. But that that label is made from metal, and there's a company over in Great Britain, Signet Branding, that does the label for me. I found out, and at first I'm like, "Come on, man, you're kidding me." The label, we just got 50,000 of these made, and they made them in the first 3 to 5 weeks of the Ukraine war. Whoa. These were made during that war. They were actually, my labels were made. And I thought that was cool as heck.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing on TV, we're seeing all this media about how the devastation and everything going on. I'm like, how are they making my labels?
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I'm dead serious.
Lord.
I mean, it's crazy. And so I'm proud to say those were made in Ukraine, and they're awesome.
That's pretty cool. So we were talking about on the way in. I don't know if you were joking or not. Is this keto friendly? On the way in, we were talking about diet.
Absolutely. But
Mike and Bill might argue on this.
Well,
No,
Mike is 100% right.
It's keto friendly, of course it is. Yeah,
Okay.
Meaning,
Meaning, there's no. I don't know what that means.
So there's
no calories.
There is calories. There's no carbs.
Lots of calories, but what I feel like nutritionists have misguided us on for years is this: the caloric value of anything is not what determines whether or not it's going to be healthy for you, right?
Sure.
So when you're in ketosis, when you start to eat, high protein, high fat, low carb diet, your body actually goes into ketosis where it's burning its own fat for fuel. You actually lose weight eating more calories than the recommended dose of calories that you're supposed to have in a day, right? I can eat 5,000 calories of protein and I'm losing weight because I don't have any starch. I have no insulin load. And
It's low glycemic index.
So when you start to look at this bourbon, I mean, it has zero carbs. At the end of the day, it's got a lot of calories, but it's zero carbs. So Mike's earlier explanation, he's spot on. So the whole Krebs cycle, you start to inject alcohol, it metabolizes things differently. It affects how you metabolize the other foods. So there's some argument that alcohol is not good on a diet of any kind, and I would support it. I would absolutely support it.
It's for recreation, right? Yeah.
My problem is I would go out and eat a pizza after we drank this bottle.
Yeah.
I mean, just kill the whole thing.
That's what gets me
there's
worried.
cauliflower pizza.
You guys want to go to Mountain State later?
I think Brenda's
and I highly recommend the cauliflower crust over the regular crust.
Oh my
It's better.
God, it's so good.
Just
Have you
saying.
guys
It's
actually
incredible.
tried that?
It's
The
so
cauliflower-
crispy.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's crispy.
Mountain State.
Exactly
Yeah.
right. It's very good.
Whether you're on a diet or not,
Again, Jerry turned me
cauliflower
on to
crust is good.
It's good stuff.
Hey, so I was thinking about this. Probably, Kristen, you always drink seltzers. Like, I think ladies drink more seltzers and stuff like that because lower calorie or whatever. Do you know the demographics? I'm guessing more men drink bourbon than whiskey or than women, or are men and women about the same, or where does that fall in?
I don't want to pretend to know the numbers. I can tell you that if I just work off my own personal tasting room experiences, it's about 90-10.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Men. Okay.
Most men are going to drink bourbon, and they have had some kind of prior introduction to 80 proof booze. You start putting 80 to 90, 100 proof bourbon on the palate, it's just how many times have you seen somebody say, "Oh my gosh, that's strong"? So, to answer your question, my experience has been that your bourbons, any of your neat whiskeys, bourbons, they're going to be predominantly, folks that have drank.
Makes sense.
in the
I
past.
think I just remembered. I'm not going to promise you it was the first time. The first time I remember drinking wild turkey was with my dad, and I remember thinking, "Holy shit, what was that?" But I did it because my dad drank it, and I was, 21, whatever,
I think you're onto something. I think that's what it is. I think we just decided to gut through it and enjoy it, even though we hate it, right? Because
I thoroughly enjoy it now. Yeah, I really like drinking this.
it's like coffee. I didn't drink coffee till 27, and then all of a sudden now I can't go without it. And it's not because of the caffeine. It's I love the taste.
And I don't put creamer in my coffee anymore. I
Straight black.
literally enjoy coffee. Hey, you guys mentioned the blueberry liqueur I mentioned a minute ago. I keep getting these ads on Facebook for blueberry coffee. Have you guys been
Oh, it's
getting
so
those?
good. Flavored coffee is, if you ever get strawberry coffee, it'll change your life.
Like,
Really?
not like
Strawberry coffee is so
I'm a
good.
blueberry
I
nut.
don't go beyond
Blueberry
hazelnut.
blueberry coffee's good. good. But yeah, I'm big on the flavored coffee. And
That's why we don't have any regular coffee at the main office anymore, huh?
no, I've been off coffee for like 3 months.
That's right.
I
Can
hate
you drink it again yet? Or
No, I hate it.
You don't like it?
No, so I've been on a tea
weird.
kick. But anyway, yeah, I love flavored coffee.
And how
but
great is Keurig? I mean,
Strawberry
you can get
coffee
you can
is-
pretty much get any flavor.
But
now.
blueberry coffee is
Yeah,
great.
it's true.
I couldn't stop drinking coffee. Sometimes I don't get up at 4:30, but sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh man, I can go get some coffee.
Dude,
I specifically
I've-
wake up because I'm like, yes. I
I've
need
made
some
coffee more delicious by waiting about 2 hours before I drink it in the morning. And every time I drink it, I'm like, oh my God, it's so good. I'm like, it's amazing. I love that bitter, oily. I don't.
It's so good.
I stopped buying it out because nothing can make it as good as my French press. You know, it's just like every
Oh,
morning.
you're fancy.
Oh, it's so good. It's the
I've
best.
never done that.
Yeah. You never did a French press?
It's not
No,
good.
I'll bring one to the office. We'll have some coffee.
my mother-in-law does, and it's great.
It is
But
so
I've never technically made it.
So on a taste thing, you're talking about the different kinds of bourbon. Like you just said, your flagship's about to launch, and that's a blue label. What we have in the room is a green label for our listener at home. What is the difference? Like when you're tasting them, as a completely ignorant, I drink sweet stuff. That's so gross to me.
So let's
When you're
start-
tasting them, like what is the difference when you move up and down?
In corn content?
Yeah, or
So-
on that scale.
So let's talk about just influences to bourbon in general, right? So you got a thumbprint, Mike, John.
Yep.
We all have a
Still
thumbprint.
here.
Okay. When you look inside of a tree, when you cut a white oak down, it's got a thumbprint. It's got a tree print. Thumbprint, tree print, same. No two trees are the same. So when you make the barrel staves, the actual portion of the oak that touches the bourbon, that's charred, and they char it to certain levels. And those chars give you the color and the influence that's going to become the bourbon based on how many years you age it. So we have the barrel, we have the level of char, we have the length in time in the barrel. We've got the mash bill, which is the ingredients, how many of which grains. We know it's got to be 51% to be bourbon, right? So you're looking for nutty, you're looking for fruity, you're looking for vanilla, you're looking for earthy, so many different influences. And I got to tell you, I have a novice palate. I grew up Crown Royal, Jack Daniel's, Jim Beam, and with Coke, lots of it, right? So I'm learning. We talked about
What's the thing? I don't drink Crown Royal without putting Coke in it. There's no point, to my opinion. I would not put Coke in this.
Right.
Like I just wouldn't.
because it's a much different experience, and there's a purpose and a reason behind the way it tastes, and you pay for that when you buy a bottle of bourbon. So why would I want to alter it, right? Now, back up a few steps. I'm a little old school. I still put a little Coke in every once in a while, Diet Coke, because I want to keep it keto friendly.
It's better.
They make
And-
they make a black cherry Waterloo that I've put in there. So I'm sorry if that's offensive, but it's dangerously good.
The great thing about it is it's to each his own.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Put that in the cheap whiskey.
yeah.
He probably listens. He'll get a kick out of this. John Pierce was bartending one night way back when I first met him. And I was just kind of getting into whiskey. He was probably with you somewhere. And John was bartending. And I got a Maker's Mark. And I told him to put like Diet Coke or something in there. And John looks at me. He goes like, really? And I was like, no, just give it to me regular.
Gotcha.
Like, I did,
Good
yeah.
job, John.
Like,
Way to go.
He
peer
still makes
pressure.
fun of me about that
That's
sometimes,
bourbon peer
but,
pressure.
But you know what? He was right. I mean, I
that
was
tater,
like,
that
yeah.
tater got you. Got now. Okay.
He was like, "What's the point in putting? Why are you buying $10 whiskey to put Diet Coke in it? It makes no sense. Get yourself some bar rail, whatever."
So I got introduced to 2 times I've had shock value about bourbon, right? So one of them is at the Manor. So
The steakhouse.
So I went to the steakhouse one night. I got my buddy up here, and we were coming up, going to probably hang with Jerry, but we were up there going to the Manor, having dinner, and I didn't know anything about the different brands out. Like I said,
Yeah,
up until a couple years ago, there was only 4 or 5 brands,
yeah.
right? So I go up there, and the waitress says, "Well, we got Jefferson's Ocean, blah blah blah. It's been aged in shipping containers and floated across the ocean." Well, I take two shots of that. I get the bill later. It's like $190, right? So I'm down at the Troll Bar in Kentucky, in Louisville. So I'm
Yeah.
out there for Jerry was actually with us. And we go out to the Troll Bar and we get lunch. And we had gotten this dissertation from the barmaid that said, listen, wings are market price.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there and I say, guys, we got to do a shot of bourbon. We're in Kentucky. What's the best bourbon you got? And we'll take 3 shots.
Yeah.
couple minutes later, we're sitting there. We drink the bourbon. We eat the food. We eat the wings. I'm wondering what these wings are going to cost me. I get the bill back. It's $400. These shots were $100 a piece.
Was it
So-
Pappy? Jesus.
No,
Or
it
that's
was.
not bourbon, is it?
No, it was. Starts with an A. The barrels that they. I can't remember the name of it now. It was like an 18-year-old, and it's when they get these barrels that they don't know what they are.
Like
Oh
a
my
mixed
gosh.
blend at some point. The kind you were talking about with the ship, where they put in the ship and the age and everything. My father-in-law knows a lot about liquor. He owned a liquor store here for a long time. Knows a lot about wine. Knows a lot about bourbon. It's really cool. He tells me a lot of stuff, and I try to pay attention to it. But when that first came out, he was like, "Oh man, this is so gimmicky. It's so stupid or whatever." He goes, "No, that stuff's legit." He goes, "That's a what was the name of it?" I remember him telling me this.
Jefferson's
story.
Ocean.
Jefferson's Ocean. Like, so they basically put the bourbon in a ship and they sail it across America, so across wherever, and it's shaking around the boat and whatever. And he's like, it's kind of gimmicky. It's just something that'll make you buy it because it sounds cool. And he goes, "Oh no, it is really good."
So I would say both of those answers are right. It is great, and the knowing behind the scenes what goes on, keeping that bourbon moving in the barrel is absolutely the best way. I mean, agitation gets it moving, and then the influence of the moisture, right? So you got moisture, so you're gonna have different influences on the water than you would in the middle of the desert, right?
When we were talking about marketing last week, to me as a consumer, I'm like, "Oh, that's cool."
It is.
You know?
It's a huge marketing, so
Yeah.
that's why it's $100 a shot and
Okay.
not $80 a shot.
Okay,
I
so
think Boss Hog was one of those things too, right? Is that I can't remember. Is that Whistle Pig had one that went around? I think it's the one that I got you.
that was so good. I don't know
Was
where
it?
it came from.
I thought it said something. I don't know. I can't remember. I said something about a ship. I didn't even know what that meant.
Orphan was the bourbon that I was talking about earlier.
Orphan, okay.
Orphan, and that is really good.
Mike got me a bottle of Boss Hog 2 Christmases ago for Christmas. Where were we at this year, Mike? And anyway, I saved it specific because I didn't want to drink it by myself. I saved it till my father-in-law got home, and he happened to get home on Easter Sunday, I think it was. And no, I know it was because we were going out to hide Easter eggs with the kids. And so he's coming over to our house, and I hadn't seen him in 6 months or whatever. And I'm pulling out in the truck by myself, and he's pulling in. I had the bottle of whiskey in the truck with me, and I was like, "Hey, look what I got!" And I was like, "I'm going out to the farm. I'll have some Easter eggs, whatever." I'm not sure he even said hi to his grandkids. Like by the time I got there, he had turned around, met me out there. It was him, my dad, and gosh, somebody. Oh, John, one of my neighbors, John. And that was a great Easter. We had the best time. I think we had
For the first time, I saw the bunny.
yeah, we had more fun hiding Easter eggs that year than the kids did. So thanks, Mike. That was a good
That's
Christmas
awesome.
present.
That's awesome.
That is
I knew
cool.
he would. Somebody who appreciates bourbon, I knew he would appreciate that with me, and it was fun.
Absolutely.
Kristen, you've been a little quiet. Is there anything you want to ask?
Yeah, I mean, we'll start with, is there anything that you're salty about?
Salty.
So that's the show. We're not salty because we're the lake, and the lake's not salty, whatever. So we want to know what gets you salty. What gets you fired up?
Oh,
Do you
my
just
God.
hate Jack Daniels? Is he a jerk? I mean, hey, you know what I would do if I was you? I was thinking about this, and they probably do it every day, so it's probably stupid. Why don't you ship Jack Daniels a bottle of your bourbon? Be like, haha, I make it better than you.
So here's what I'd
What if
say.
he calls and tries to buy it?
So as I said earlier, it's amazing to me all the different people in this industry that want to help you, right?
No, this was not.
So
that
it's kind of frowned
industry.
upon.
to be a jerk.
One of the common themes in this business is doing business with happy people, right?
Yeah.
And when you're having cocktails, I mean, unless you're a whiskey drunk like I was back in the day, you try to stay happy most of the time. But seriously, it's a happy business. It's a fun business. There's a lot of new faces, a lot of new marketing, a lot of new brands, and it's really invigorating. I mean, it's a fun industry. So nothing really salty other than we could talk about a lot of salty issues, but let's keep it. We'll just keep it to the bourbon. COVID stressed out a lot of people. A lot of great people that bring us. I think we take for granted. And you go in the food industry, you go out and have a nice dinner at a restaurant. It hit that industry hard, and a lot of them are our clients, and they throughout all that, we had so much support from restaurants and things that were struggling to take on a new brand. So, not salty, but unsalty. Just really appreciate all those restaurants out there that were willing to take a chance on a new brand and help out. But COVID was tough on a lot of them and tough on the industry to start throughout that process.
And they probably care about you too. Like, I don't know the restaurant industry, but say I own a restaurant and you came to my bar and wanted some of that. A, you sell a great product, and B, you actually deliver it. You know what I mean? Like, the worst thing I would want to do is have a bar and somebody not bring the bourbon.
Right.
You've got to be there and deliver it on time.
And they're looking for something. So there's so many brands, right?
Yeah.
And you can't expect these folks to inventory everything. So you have to come to them with a good product. I mean, one of the things that I started out early on, and again, I was in a position of being able to choose what I did and how I do business, just like you.
Yeah.
I want to make it look good, so I wanted it to look great, right? And you kind of, and thank you very much for that. You confirmed you like the label.
Well, yeah, if I'm sitting at a bar and I'm looking, I'm like, that looks good.
That looks cool. Right?
Yeah.
So it looks great. Buy with your eyes.
Yeah.
And then when you taste it,
the worst second drink because it was good.
Right. And the worst thing could happen is if it looks great, it's packaged, everything's awesome, and you take a drink of it and you're like, holy shit. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't ever want to taste that again. So my motto, and really this is probably the motto of everybody they think, but for me, it's imperative that it looks great so people will buy with their eyes. And then when they taste it, they're not disappointed.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I want them to drink it and like it. That's why I came out with those creams. I mean, look, unless I came up with like sardine flavor, I don't think you can pick those up and not enjoy the flavor. They're all good.
That's not in the hopper. You're not.
No, orange. So I'll give you guys a little bit of
Or a
first
bone
time.
marrow drink. What are we talking
Yeah,
about?
bone marrow. Well, that might go big with these
Bone
new,
broth.
the Joe Rogan group,
I
right?
mean,
Yeah,
I'll sample it with you. We need to have a regular drink first.
Tell us all your
Yeah,
flavors.
tell Joe we said hi, by the way.
Yeah. So we have first to hear it here by April 25th ish. We will release our orange dreamsicle, and that is
Ooh.
scrumptious. So
that's where the ladies. That's more. I might drink one of those, but I'm not going to drink 2 or 3 of those. You kind of notice the ladies drink more of the whiskey cream, or is that just me?
So it's 90-10 the other way.
Okay.
And you're exactly
Okay.
right. But I have some real, I mean, it just depends. I mean, there's a lot of people that, regardless of men, women, whatever, they really enjoy those creams. And they're great for an after dinner drink. They're great with coffee. We make boozy milkshakes, and those boozy milkshakes are a huge hit.
I've seen them at stores.
So-
I
yeah.
actually had one there.
So you sell them complete package boozy
Well,
milkshake?
no,
Okay.
we'll go to bars, have a night where Fordham Lee comes in and makes boozy milkshakes.
Oh, okay.
We're actually going to partner with the Ironbirds down in Aberdeen
Yeah.
at Cal Ripken Stadium, and we're actually going to be doing some boozy milkshakes down there for them.
Sweet.
So yeah,
Oh, cool.
yep.
Those are
Trying to-
keto friendly.
Yeah, they are absolutely
That's high
100% incredibly not.
If you're down there, it's gonna be 110 degrees. You deserve a milkshake. Just don't get the one for the kid mixed up, or else you have some sleepy kids.
Oh, God.
John, I think we're going to take this 5th down.
I'm good with it. Yeah, hit it up.
That reminds
is-
me.
it is pretty good.
Putting kids to bed. I was out doing yard work one day, and I was, day off. I had a glass of vodka, and they made this stuff. I think it's called Triple Cross, something like that. It's a square bottle. It's delicious. And so I was just drinking it on ice. And I was out there for a while, and it all melted down. And my wife was working with me.
Oh,
And she
took a big
came
sip.
in, thought it was water. Drinked it
Ouch.
like she was really thirsty.
Did she chug it down?
Yeah.
That's when you had your.
Daddy's water is what she
Yeah,
started calling it. Don't drink Daddy's water.
Speaking of Daddy's water, what's your best honey story?
Do they sell Daddy's water at Honey Honey?
No, they
What-
sell
what-
gorilla
what-
milk though.
It was
What lead-in was
it
that?
was a segue. I don't know. You're there. You're there
was
for your
pretty good.
I'm
bachelorette
rubbing
party.
off on you.
We haven't
All
picked
my
on each other
stupid
very much this
segues.
show.
So my best
I mean,
Tony,
come on.
my best Tony Honey story is bar none.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at Tahoney.
No pun intended.
Yeah, bar none, no pun intended. I'm sitting at Tahoney, and we're there, and there's some college guys. They're all having a fun, good time. I'm 58 years old. These guys are obviously 17 to 25 years old. They're in the prime of their life, and my daughter Sailor's with me, and I'm proud of Sailor. She's a great lady, great basketball player, and she's a very attractive girl.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there at the Honey, and this guy wants to give my daughter a sailor a kiss. And I'm like, oh, wow. And she goes, so I looked him right out and I said, she says to this gentleman, she says,
I wouldn't deal with that very well.
she says, how about this, buddy? If you can beat my dad in arm wrestling, you can have a kiss.
Oh, you got to
And
get
I
into this
smoked
story.
his ass.
No, you didn't.
Oh,
You did?
absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Good for you. That's awesome.
On the way in, we were talking about
These
arm
guys are
wrestling.
wrestlers. These are wrestlers. And Jerry knows them.
Ooh.
And
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty.
That's
cool.
pretty awesome.
Okay,
actually.
that might be the best.
I need
Tony
to
Hawk
start
story.
arm
And then there's the other.
wrestling
Then
now, so I
there's
can
the
do
other
that.
time Jerry and I
I'm
like
terrible.
ran a boat up into the halfway up into the yard. We had a couple of yoo-hoos.
Oh, is that the boat I bought from you? Shake your head no. Shake your head no.
Jerry's part of this cast, even though he's
Hey,
just,
John, you want to buy a boat? Sure, Jerry sounds great. Me and Bill wrecked it yesterday.
That's like your famous last words. Want to buy a boat?
Forgot to tell you
Yeah.
that part. It was a good boat. Speaking of which, I sold it to Scott Lord. It's now his problem. But anyway. Thanks, Scott. No, man. Thank you for. I liked you as a banker. I love you as a brewer. Brewer?
Distiller.
I love you as a distiller.
thank
This
you,
is
John.
pretty cool, man. And it's not something that I don't think anybody could do. Like it probably had to take guts, like any business. You were like, "Hey, I'm doing great in lending. Just want to do something new," and you got the nerve and did it.
well, you've done the same thing. I mean, listen, you started building houses, and what I liken it to is I got to be happy, man. When I wake up in the morning, I'm lucky. I'm blessed. I wake up and I'm ready to take the world on, and I'm happy, and I'm in. I just if you start to realize that you're not passionate about what you're doing, you have to figure it out. And I want to do something I'm passionate about. So
Building houses, neat. I like selling houses. Don't get me wrong. Building a house is really cool too because I'm building something. I'm changing something. And that's what. How many bottles did you sell last year? Do you have any idea?
So I should be able to answer this at the tip of my tongue, but we did $533,000 in gross sales.
Okay.
So, and that's all alcohol. So if I divide that into bottles disproportionately based on creams being cheaper than the bourbons, and we sold less bourbon, I mean, we're somewhere just shy of 10,000 cases.
If you go on Shark Tank, get those numbers and head first. Mr. Wonderful would have ate you up on Shark
So
Tank.
first of all, if any of those guys ever told me I'm out,
wouldn't
I'm
go.
form tackling them.
We are
okay?
arm
And
wrestling right now.
Yeah, you can pass that on to Mark Cuban.
Cuban would maybe invest in
you
you.
mentioned Joe Rogan, but you keep doing what you're doing. I think you'd make a great guest.
Well, you can
Cool
tell you
stuff.
Thank
like
you,
it.
Mike.
Like I can tell you're happy. You know what I mean? It's cool.
He can tell you that. And listen, Jerry's one of my best friends, and he knows the good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, banking is a very prestigious industry, and I wouldn't trade the experience and the friendships and the people that I've worked with for 20 years this year, since I founded MLend. I wouldn't trade that for the world. But for me, it was all about the business. You nailed it. I'm not a loan officer. I love the fact that loan officers carry on my business. They build a business within my business. I provide for them an opportunity for them to realize their dreams and goals. And Jerry's a perfect example of that. And so for me, that was my reward. I'm not a loan officer. I didn't want to compete with them. Number one. Number two, I was always an entrepreneur, and that's kind of why I got into this. I spent everything I got building this business, and I'm going to continue. I believe in it, and I love it.
That's neat. I actually forgot that. I was thinking you started as a loan officer, but you didn't. You
I've
run
never
business.
done
You
a loan.
started managed businesses.
I've never done a loan.
That's pretty cool. Hey, can I borrow $10? Mike, on that note.